Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scottish Silverback Podcast, episode 14. And we've got our first international guest on this week. I know we've had Jimmy DeRego on, but he doesn't count because he's Welsh. So we've got IFBB pro Brad Dwight from Australia. And we thought we'd get him on and get his insight into who he is, because I think, I like to kind of shout out some good physiques, and if we can get kind of your name moving about the British scene as well, that'd be class. So you want to give us a wee kind of background, a wee bit of information about yourself and what you've won, big titles and so forth?
Yeah, no worries. It'll be a fucking quick one. I ain't won really that much. I'm only been competing for about 7 years, and I only had my first proper win last year at the Arnold Classic here in Australia, where I won the state qualifier in New South Wales, and then won the 100 kilo class at the Arnold Classic, and came second in the overall there. And then this year I came second at the state qualifier, and then improved over the week to win the pro card at the Australian Nationals. But before that, I ain't really won that much. Sort of been figuring out my formula, working with my coach, getting things right. A few third places, second places. I've been left out of the top three altogether a few times. Mm-hmm. So I've only started getting it together the last couple of years and had a bit of success. So yeah, it's been a minute in the making, but we're here.
Who's it you work with, coach-wise?
Another IFBB pro from Australia. Well, he's not competitive anymore, but former IFBB pro Luke Shembry. I'm not sure how many guys there are familiar with him, but he didn't really go too far into the pros, but he did turn pro, and he did a few shows overseas in the States. And he's a good bloke. He's good mate of mine. We got a good relationship. We bounce ideas off each other. I trust him 100%. I feel like he's always got my best interest at heart, which is what you want in a coach. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we work great together. Yeah.
Next one. And what do you think was missing beforehand in terms of, like, when you said working out your formula, like for your physique and stuff? What did you change? Was there anything kind of like drastic that you changed? Or
I think it's just an accumulation of skills as time goes on, and maturity and things. As I said, I'm only young, like I'm only 27, so I guess I was back then competing in my earlier 20s, not as disciplined with diet and as diligent with training, and just you pick up skills as you go, and you sharpen your tools as you go through life as a bodybuilder. So I think there was no really one thing missing. It was more just getting everything in order, getting the right amount of muscle on the frame, nailing condition, and then things like headspace and mindset as well. The last couple of years, I've started to introduce meditation and things like that into my routine, and I feel like that, getting that clarity and that level-headedness through every day just helps in the preps. No matter what comes your way, you're a lot more ready and a lot more balanced, and you can sort of navigate through life a bit better when your mental game's on point.
Yeah, that's quite interesting that you say that with the meditation. You wouldn't hear many bodybuilders actually kind of talk about that kind of thing.
I find that not many blokes are doing the meditation. There are a few out there, but yeah, it should be a lot more common. I feel like it's probably one of the things that helped me the most in the last couple of years to get the success that I have had over the last couple of years.
I think it's something many people would actually benefit massively from, but it's probably not something that everybody wants to admit the need. Like, obviously, I think everybody struggles the mental side of things in bodybuilding, but you don't actually realise how much you struggle. I think it's not until you can actually say, I'm going to try this and see if it actually helps. It would be such a massive benefit. But I think it's just something that not many people are wanting to go down that road. But like I said, if you actually admit to say, I'm going to need this, you'd probably like, wow, fuck, I wish I'd done this ages ago. Which you probably felt like that.
Absolutely. And it's some of the things that you hear people talk about, and you think they're like a fucking wanky, like that's wanky. Waking up in the morning, sitting in a quiet room with your thoughts, and think positive thoughts and speak positively to yourself, because no one talks to us as much as we do throughout the day. You're in communication with yourself more than anyone. Why wouldn't you tell yourself some shit that you need to hear and some shit that you want to hear, rather than always feeding yourself with your own negative thoughts? Get yourself right, get your head together, and attack every day on a positive note, man. And in a prep, when it feels like you're dying, that little bit of positive energy in your mind can go a long way for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Greg's kind of tired of me mentioning it, but I do yoga regularly, and like see like the first time I showed up to like the place where I go is very like meditation based and very kind of like your class what anyone would think of like classic yoga, like that kind of, you know, the whole meditation side of things. And when I first went to it, I thought it was a bit wanky as well. You know, I was a bit like, oh fuck, I stick out a sore thumb like a bodybuilder shows up in like, you know, fucking tops like this and trainers and shit, and everyone's there drinking fucking green tea out of their hands and their wee saucer bowls and shit. But no, I found obviously along with the physical side of it as well, the kind of the mental clarity you get, it does set you up for especially you got to remember what we do. That's why I like it so much. Is it's such a different. It's so different from bodybuilding. Bodybuilding's aggressive and, you know, like testosterone fueled, and like the meditation, the yoga side of things is just completely different. And that for me, like I just like that, having that parallel there. That kind of just that's helped me massively as well. So
absolutely. Do you find that the yoga has helped you with your training as well? Do you feel more limber? Do you feel like less prone to injury through doing the yoga and stretching and stabilizing yourself and getting your core and your gravity centered and everything helps with your training?
100%. Especially like we were talking about this. Was it last week, Greg? We were talking about how I've kind of not had any kind
of time you bust your knee.
Apart from my knee. That's age, mate. That's just age. But no, I've managed to stay. I've managed to stay pretty injury free over the years. And that is because I'm attention to detail with mobility, yoga, stretching. So yeah, I feel like it's as important to me now as the training itself. Having that kind of 1 day a week where I go into a studio and do yoga stuff and all the stretching. So for the listeners, we're just going to say we really appreciate you coming on at 3:30 your time or whatever it is, 4 o'clock in the morning.
No worries.
That's pretty mad, mate. So yeah, we want to publicly thank you for that, because obviously it's a small podcast. We're just getting going, and we've had some really good names on and yourself included. So yeah, I just want to say thanks for that.
Yeah. It's an honor, mate. It's an honor. And I know you know, but I haven't mentioned it. And I wanted to slip it in there for you boys that I am of Scottish heritage. My grandfather migrated over to Australia in the 60s. And so I got a bit of Scottish blood in me. He's a Glasgow lad. So I was keen to come on and chat to you fellas, because I do have a place in my heart for Scotland. So I was keen to come on. No matter what time of the morning you wanted me on, I was going to set the alarm and get on. So I'm happy to be
here. Have you been across?
What's that?
Have you been across to Scotland?
I haven't even fucking left Australia yet, mate. So I haven't even got a passport. So I'm looking to set all that up and get over and maybe do one of the Two Bros shows or you know, something like that, and check the place out. So I'm keen with this new opportunity with the Pro Card. I'm going to use it for everything that it can offer me, and seeing the motherland is definitely high on the list.
Yeah. You can tell by the beard, mate. You can tell by that kind of like underlying.
Got a bit of the ginger in there, you know, just so people know.
Yeah, no, that's class, mate. Do you know what part of Glasgow your granddad came from?
I don't. I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
No.
I haven't really talked to him too in depth about where he's from and all that, but it is something that I would like to know. I feel like a lot of people don't talk to their olds that much, and I'm very blessed that he's still alive. So I feel like I should get around and ask him a bit more about where he's come from, so that when I do get over there, I can maybe stand in some of the same places he stood and feel that connection. I think that'd be really a beautiful thing for me to feel, is to go over there and be where he was at my age or whatever. You know, I think it'd be a nice thing. So I definitely got to get in contact with old granddad and listen to some of his stories and know a bit more about his life, I think.
Yeah, that's class, mate. That's class.
What part of... Okay. Do you feel like Australia's going to be where you want to really kind of stay, or do you feel like you want to kind of travel about and actually discover new places once you get your passport?
It's hard to say at this stage. Australia, I feel, is a hard place to bodybuild professionally. Like,
really?
Obviously, you've only got the one show a year when international travel was allowed. We only have the Arnold Classic here, which Tony puts on. Aside from that, not many pro shows. Legalities of PEDs and things like that as well makes it tricky here. So, you know, it could be on the cards to jet set and set up camp somewhere else at some stage. But at the moment, you know, everything I need's here, and I'll be staying here for the foreseeable future. But who knows, you know?
Yeah. With everything being a bit illegal, is it quite expensive with the PEDs and stuff there?
It can be. I don't know what it's like compared to the UK sort of pricing here, but it can get up there. You know, everyone's trying to make a buck and take it for a ride, and if they're taking a risk to get it into the country or however they're doing it, you know, they're gonna put a price tag on that. So I can only assume that it's a little more expensive here to partake in bodybuilding.
Yeah. So like on the scale of like, well, in Scotland, like they're pretty much legal. It's a very grey area. So like on the scale of like us and America, where does Australia lie in that scale? Because obviously, I think in America it's like a class 1. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's criminal charges definitely, and it will just depend on the amount that you're caught with, I suppose. If you're you know, intent to sell, you got 10,000 empty vials and a machine and a beaker set up and all that, I'm sure that they're going to sting you. But if you get pulled up in the car and they have a look at you and you only got a vial of test and a vial of Maelstrom or something like that, they're going to call that personal use. So it's hard to say. It's illegal. Yeah, it's as illegal as any other drug, any other recreational drug, narcotics and things like that. You know, you're going to get in just as much trouble here in Australia if you're caught with it.
In terms of the, I know.
It's just so free flowing here. It's just like, it's strange that you can talk about it. It's like so easy to get. It's crazy to think that somewhere else in the world is just totally different.
Yeah, it's wild, man, to hear how like the UK has it totally free and clear, and I'm sure you guys have like statistically less bad emergency room visits because of it, and you know, because it's a bit more, you know, allowed, and there's not as much dicey stuff happening. So I think that probably keeps the quality control as well. You know, I think that Australia needs to follow suit in that regard.
I wouldn't get too hung up on it, because you guys have so many other benefits that we don't have. So you're pretty shit over here compared to some of the stuff you've got.
Yeah, touching on that, I mean, obviously Australia is like obviously known for like its sport and its fitness scene and that. And in terms of like the bodybuilding itself, is it pretty mainstream, or how popular is it? Like across like the whole spectrum, like we're talking from men's physique all the way up to bodybuilding.
I feel like bodybuilding is growing, and that would probably to do with social media and things. It's more accessible to more people. So in Australia, it is growing. It's still a pretty niche sort of sport. It's still sort of a cult thing, like it probably always will be in most places. But it is good to see that the scene is growing, and that every year, even with the two seasons now that we've competed through COVID, the turnouts were still pretty decent. The quality was still pretty decent. So it's good to see a lot of guys getting on stage and jumping in and getting involved here and growing the scene. And also in the last couple of years, feel like the scene has been a much more positive environment to be a part of as well. It seems like a lot of guys are more having each other's back. And I don't know if that's to do with social media, how we're always like, you know, us guys here, even got the sea between us, you know, we're still supporting each other and sending each other messages of encouragement. And I feel like that happened a lot in Australia at the moment too, with our local scene. We're all mates. Yeah. It feels great. It's good to be on stage. You know, every time you get on stage, you're on stage with a few of your mates, and it's a great time to be up there.
Yeah. No, that's class.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Australia very briefly for like a month, and I would definitely say it's probably the most friendliest places I've ever been. Like, it's like here, I don't want to say it that bad, but I mean, like, it feels like everybody here doesn't want to see you do well, or they don't want you to have a nice day because they're having a bad day, stuff like that. Whereas, like, they are the person like you would expect to be hating their job or not enjoying their day is the most friendliest person going, and they would just like stop you and speak to you for as long as possible, and they would just like ask you how your day is and are you having a great time, and this, that, and next, and they give you so much time. Whereas like here, you wouldn't get that. And that's what I really loved about Australia, was just the people that were just so friendly, and they just wanted to like see you have a nice day.
It's funny that you say that though, because I hear people who travel over to the UK say the same thing about the UK compared to Australia. I think they must hear your accent and treat you different, because you still get the odd arsehole around here.
I don't know. It's maybe where in the UK they were, but most of the places it's just like I said.
Nah, I do feel you, man. We do. You know, happiness is a choice. You know, you wake up and you decide how your day's going to go. I feel, and it's all outlook. And I do feel that I work in the construction industry, and there are a lot of guys out there busting their backs and working hard, but you wouldn't know it by their attitude in life and the way they just get on and the way they talk to you. So I 100% agree with you, man. We're a pretty happy-go-lucky sort of people over here.
Yeah.
What is it you doing? Aye, you don't boast about that to two Scottish people, mate. What is it you do in construction?
Well, I've done a heap of jobs coming out of school. Landed in the concrete for a few years, like doing slabs, laying slabs for houses and driveways and footpaths and things like that. And I've recently just jumped out and started working with my father, who is in the air conditioning and electrical trades. So bit less back breaking and hopefully a little bit more money too. So I'll be learning the ropes of that trade now too. So making a bit of a transition, hopefully to prioritize bodybuilding too. You know, something a bit less manual intensive, a little bit more money in the back pocket. You know, that never hurt anyone. So hopefully this career switch will aid with my bodybuilding in the coming years as well.
Yeah. How did you do I've always wondered, because I've got a few clients who work like in construction and that, and obviously we know of guys as well who work construction and heavy like manual jobs and that. How did you do a whole day of like that kind of work and then go and like train? Because I can barely set a laptop for 4 hours and then go and train. So I don't know how people like log about, because obviously Greg used to work in engineering as well. So I don't know how you honestly do it, if that makes sense.
I'm just kind of done when I was younger.
Yeah. When you're younger, I think that builds the habit. You know, when I was younger, I started training with weights when I was in school. So I'd go to the gym after a day at school. Then you transition into your work life. Your enthusiasm's still just as high as you were when you just left school. So, you know, you just make it a habit to get to the gym after work with your mates. Mm-hmm. And then that sort of just becomes habit over the years. You know, it's just second nature at this point. Yeah. I love getting to the gym, and I'm going to get there no matter fucking how hard I had to work during the day. You know, I'm just going to go home, slap a big meal and get in there. And in the prep, it's a bit harder, but that's where that mindset and that meditation comes into it. You know, getting that mental strength and that mental fortitude.
No, that's class, mate. Like I said, I don't know. I admire guys who have like intensive, like actual jobs. You know, me and Greg are online coaches. I don't know. Would you consider that a job, Greg? I don't know.
It's very beneficial to what we do now and how we want to be in the sport. I mean, like I've said this previous podcast, like how I set my life out now is directly for my goal in mind is to become a pro. And I want to win my shows. And like everything I do around my day is based around that now. Like my day from point I wake up to point I go to bed is based around that goal. And I'm very fortunate I get to do that now. But I mean, like when I did work full time, like looking back now, I couldn't be in the position now and like how much I've improved over the last year because I've devoted so much more time to it. Like trying to think I've got to go work and I have to fit the gym in that, be a father, husband, and then everything else I've got to do in the day. Like you try to think that now while trying to be the best version of myself, I just don't think I could do it. And it was very, very tough. And like now I'm so, like I just said, I'm fortunate to get to do this pretty much with coaching and just get to train and live my life how I want to live it to be the best version of me. I'm very grateful for that. But to try and do that while having a full-time job, that's the hard part. To be like an amateur, it's just you've got to do so much more work than a pro. Get there.
Well, that's what I thought coming up through the ranks. I was always on the fence of, is this the job that I should be doing? Should I be trying to get a different job and focus on the bodybuilding? But it all sort of fell into place. I kept progressing and just kept making it happen. And I was honestly surprised that I turned pro with the job that I have. But that being said, it's definitely not the most ideal way to make progress doing manual labor. So now that I am a pro and like you said, want to take it more seriously and want to progress to the next level, I myself also am now trying to find ways to increase my revenue streams so that I don't have to be on the tools as much through the days. Like I still like being in the construction industry, though, don't get me wrong. I still like going on site and working with the lads. So I'm not even sure if I'd take a full step back and completely leave the construction altogether, but I'm definitely trying to get my personal training and my online coaching and all those sorts of things in order to, so I can start prioritizing my bodybuilding lifestyle a little bit more, especially for the next few years, just while I'm young and coming into my peak as a pro. You know, I want to really have the best pro career possible. So trying to get things in order to make that possible.
Yeah, I think to be a pro, you've got to really look at other avenues and revenue streams to be able to do it full time, almost like put more time into actually just being a pro. Imagine to like get your meals in special, like exactly the right time, sleep, rest, just everything, training when you need to train, instead of like rushing about, maybe not getting the training on time because you had to stay late at work or had to miss a meal because you were busy at work, something like that. Like all those little things add up. So I think a lot of pros, that's like when you become a pro, you're like, right, okay, what am I going to do? I need to make more money so I can put more time into this to be the best version of myself. And it's not always that easy. A lot of people get quite clever.
And it's getting harder too. It's getting harder for us as bodybuilders, you know. Like when I first started bodybuilding, I was looking up to guys like Evan Santapani and Kai Green, who were all on, you know, muscle meds and animal pack contracts. And I always thought, you know, if I just bust my ass, win the right shows, someone will notice it and put some money in my pocket. You know, someone will get behind me and sponsor me.
Everybody thinks when you become a pro.
As I grew, Instagram blew up and all that, and it's just a whole different world now. So I was sort of right in my coming up was sort of right in the middle of from the old school to now the new. You know, like the old big contracts for top athletes, and now it's all sorry cunts, get out there and make your own money. You know what I mean? You know, start posting your discount codes.
Yeah, pretty much.
I know.
So some of the money they used to make, and like now it's just gone.
I know.
Ridiculous money, just for magazine endorsements. You know, you get
what was it? Phil Heath got paid.
Photos.
Phil Heath not on like $500,000 from
Muscle Tech, yeah.
And then Flex magazine would have probably paid them as well. It was fucking just easy.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So like he got like, I think he got $500,000, and then if he won the Olympia, Muscle Tech then matched it on top of that. So he got $500,000 contract, $500,000 on top, and then the Olympia win. So aye.
They just don't get shit like that now. And that's just a few years ago. It's not even like it was like 10 years ago. I mean, it's fucking 5 years ago. The amount has changed in 5 years. Like all that's gone. How much social media has just went boom through the roof. And it's like, this is your platform. This is how you guys need to make money on your own. We're not doing fuck all for you. You can make us money.
But how are you going to compete with a girl selling protein and fucking fingering herself on OnlyFans, man? I can't compete with that.
I definitely can't compete with that. No skills.
That seems to be the new thing. That's how you make money.
So I take you don't have OnlyFans then?
Not yet, but I fuck, man. Dire straits, you know. Desperate times, desperate measures. We'll see how we go.
Just leave it.
COVID measures.
That's right.
So we had a wee discussion a while back about what kind of you were thinking going forward in terms of your off seasons and what shows you're thinking about doing. So also we touched on that before. You said you could maybe look at doing a show in Europe or something. And so what you think? What's your plan going forward in terms of your off season and contest prep?
For me, with the state of the world and restrictions on travel and all that, my coach and I have just decided to just focus on progress at this stage until we can actually decide on a show that we know for sure is not going to get cancelled or flight's going to get cancelled or anything like that. So we sort of just focus on progress at the moment. For me, my goal was to turn pro by 30. I'm 27, so I feel like I've got a few years in the bank anyway now. So if I don't compete for the next couple of years, I'm not too stressed on that. You know what I mean? So I'm just going to focus on the progress. You know, just treat it as give it a good crack. You know, I've never really done a proper off season where I've taken it seriously as I have in the prep, stuck to a nutrition plan properly. You know, clean up the diet. You know, and just approach everything with a bit more of a professional mindset now that I am in the pro league. So as for shows, I can't really put a stamp on a date or anything. And right now we're just focusing on progressing the physique, because I turned pro under 100 kilos, you know what I mean? So I'm only a heavyweight, not even a super heavyweight. So for my frame, I need a shit ton more muscle to compete with guys my height. Otherwise I'll be down in the 212 with guys, you know, 5'3", and I'm 5'9", you know what I mean? So I look like a goose in that division. So I really do need to put on some size to be competitive with other guys on the circuit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you said, you've still got that. You've still got ages to go. I mean, 27 in bodybuilding, for people who don't know, that's pretty young. You know what I mean? So to still be in your 20s and not even the end of your 20s and be a pro already is obviously you're set up. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to have a look at your Instagram, just to kind of show people where we're looking at. So, do you know who made this?
Yeah, that's my mate, bloke over in New Zealand, Aaron. I tagged him in the post.
Oh, so you did, yeah. So.
Yep. So
that's
he made
class.
that for me, and that's what I'm actually looking at getting printed up now. As we were talking about revenue streams, I thought I might try my hand at the apparel business and maybe print up a couple of t-shirts and see if anyone wants a t-shirt first. And I got a bit of interest, so I'm looking to get those printed up now, actually. So they'll be coming hopefully in the near future.
How long did it take you to grow that mustache?
Oh, I already had the beard going through the off season, so I just take the beard off and leave the stash.
Oh, fair enough. That's sublime, that one. What show is this after? This is the Arnold.
This was backstage at the Arnold last year, yeah, right before going on for the heavyweight. That's
like insanely like aesthetic to me. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything missing there. Like you said, mate,
amazing is your tan.
Yeah,
that's such a good tan.
I appreciate that.
Good colour. But no, mate, like you actually look so much bigger than 100.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, I get told all the time that I look bigger.
Yeah, definitely.
What are you there?
95 kilos.
95.
Yeah.
And that's at 5'9". You just look so much bigger. That's crazy. Very aesthetic.
So you were telling me that obviously you won your class at the Arnold, but due to COVID, that Arnold wasn't actually able to hand out the trophies.
Yeah, there was no expo attached to it. It wasn't like the Arnold's normally is. There was no pro show. There was no Arnold himself. So it was just like a nationals, really. It was just like any other national event that we have here, where it's just the competitors and the spectators, no big sponsors or anything. So this is a stage shot from that as well. I think that year I was a little bit crispier, a little bit more shredded, but this year I came in with a bit more fullness and was able to match the super heavy for the look on size. So that was from the state qualifier this year, where I came second actually and improved over the week to take the first. So I came second this year at that show.
Yeah, that's class. What tan is it you actually use? What tan's that?
That one there is called Suntan On. It's a local Australian company that makes it. I just prefer to take the responsibility of my quality of tan into my own hands rather than join the queue with everyone else backstage when with Pro-Tan. I feel like they get such an influx of clients that they don't have time to focus on everyone and give everyone enough time to give everyone the quality tan they deserve. So I sort of just do my own before I get to the show.
Yeah. So Charles Lovian too. I think Greg's always
what to work from.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Yeah, he's a legend, man. He's a legend, and that was straight after the show too. That was the night of the show that I won the card. He cleared his schedule and said we'll do a nighttime shoot, and we were out shooting from like fucking 9 till like 1 in the morning, just getting all these crazy shots down there. That was in Queensland, up north here in Australia, in a nice sunny, warm part of Australia. So that was down by the river at night with it was a really cool shoot.
That's a great shot. Because Charles is he's Aussie as well, isn't he?
He's what? Oh yeah, he's an Aussie. Yeah.
No, I mean that's.
I love his shoots. Like they're so like the detail of view is so crispy that it's like you can see the background, but it's like almost blurred away. It's just such a cool shot.
Yeah, he gets so many good ones, and this shoot I sort of wanted to base off of one of William Bonak's shoots that Charles did in Vegas after the Olympia, like with all the cool like lights behind and just super crisp detail.
Yeah,
hitting shots. So that's sort of where I got the idea to do it. A nighttime shoot was some of the stuff that I like that he did with Bonak.
Yeah, no, it's class.
Yeah, stuff's cool.
So we're just stalking your Instagram, mate.
That's cool, man.
Here's another one from that bit. That's class as well. So
yeah, that was from the same shoot, obviously.
Yeah. No, that's cool, mate. That's class. I take it that's when you won.
Oh, that's a little video I did.
You're just fucking raging.
Nah, this is a video I did of just talking about my comp history and stuff on my Instagram.
Okay.
I went through all the shows I've done and things like that. Yeah.
No.
I think that one there, that first one in colour is the one that you commented on there and told me that I had a top side chest, and that really made my day, that one. The one across on the right there.
This one?
No, the one down.
That one?
Yeah, you go to that one, you swipe a few, there's a side chest in there, and you commented on there saying that it was class. So
I did it.
That really made my day the day you said that to me.
Oh, that one, yeah, I remember that, yeah. No, I mean, that's some shot, like, that's I mean, it's class. So in terms of your training, what kind of setup have you got just now? What would you? I know some people align themselves with different camps, like different training camps and styles and that. Yeah. But what would you say is kind of like what your style is?
I don't have a style that I like to preach about. Like I know a lot of guys like to get on the progressive overload, or some guys like the high volume. My coach, I just leave it in his hands. You know, I personally prefer to train with the high intensity, you know, like JP style with the progressive overload and things like that, and heavy low rep training. But my coach, he monitors everything with the check-ins weekly, even in the off season. He'll see if we're plateauing and checking everything, and he'll let me know when it's time for a stimulus change. So I don't really have too much say in what we do for training. Now I like to leave my stuff in someone else's hands. If I'm helping other people, that's fine. I don't mind. Just for my own stuff, I like to take the thinking away from it, because I don't feel like when it comes to me, I'm always going to make the most calculated decision. You know, I might look after myself, baby myself a little bit too much, or favor things that I'd rather do rather than not do. Whereas my coach, he's not going to stand for that. He's going to make me train my weak points 2-3 times a week, whereas I want to train maybe legs 3 times a week, the fun stuff that I like to do. So he's gonna program it where I can improve the most, whereas I'd program myself to have the most fun. So it's good to have a coach in that regard, you know, to give you what you need more than what you want sometimes.
Yeah. No, I think me and Greg can probably agree with you on that, on how we spoke about before, how usually we both kind of ended up overdoing it when you're in control of your own training. And like I started working with Patrick Couture last May, so it's that was the first time ever I've had someone say to me like push for this, pull back, push for this, pull back. Whereas before I would just be going until like my CNS was fucked. Like, you know, everything would suffer off the back of just poor training programming. And so yeah, I found that kind of massively beneficial, to kind of have that person just kind of pumping the brakes and dictating that volume as well. So,
but that being said, I think that a lot of young guys get the wrong idea when they hear us talk about training in this regard. You know, about pulling things back and pushing things. I still am of the opinion that when you're a young kid and you know fuck all, and you're going to grow just from looking at weights, and you haven't got the training intelligence, just go in there and train as hard as you can to failure. And don't fucking worry. You're a young fella. You're going to bounce back. Your CNS is going to recover by tomorrow morning. So just train as often as you can, as hard as you can. I think that a lot of kids go like too crazy with I'm leaving some reps in reserve, and I'm like, mate, you're a fucking weed. You're a skinny little cunt. You know what I mean? You don't need to be talking about all this progressive overload techniques and intensification techniques.
Yeah.
You know, just get in there and lift some shit and get strong for your first few years. I think a lot of guys hear us talk about the technical side of training and how to program, but get the wrong idea. I think that there's a lot to be said for a few good hard years of just fucking smashing yourself before 100%. You need to start worrying about reps in reserve and fucking, you know, leaving something in the tank for the top sets and all this. Just go in there, balls to the wall as a kid, eat as much as you can. You ain't going to get fat. You're just going to get big. So
yeah,
I reckon if I took my training and tried to get all into the minutiae details of it as a kid, I would have been doing it half-assed. I'm glad I sort of went in blind essentially and just threw weight around, hoping for the best. I think that's the best way to go as a kid. I think if you fill a kid's head with too much knowledge too quick, it's overwhelming, and they imply it wrong.
I just don't think I would have enjoyed it as a kid. Or like when I first started, if somebody came to me and said, "This is what you got to do, and by the way, you got to pull back now," and it's like, I think I would have enjoyed it. I think I would have been where I am now. I think I would have lost the love for it, because I mean, I just loved going in and absolutely crawling out. Like, I've done 1,000,000 reps, as much weight as possible, and I'm fucked. I want to go home and eat food. That was just how I love to train. I mean, I would still love to train like that, but I can't. But as you're just saying, like, kids they want to learn, and that is a good thing, but they're looking too much into the scientific point of stuff that like people need a bit later on. Whereas like you're young, your body's just going to respond to anything. Like,
you got to learn how to fucking apply yourself hard first before you start applying the little bits of knowledge to that. Getting the work ethic down is probably the most important thing. Just learning how to push yourself and find out what your limit is, and then you start to tinker with it and start to play with the details after.
100%. I think the training hard is just something that either you have or you don't. You really need to see where that boundary is, and not many people can really push that boundary because it's just not in them. Like you'll see people train with like insane intensity, and like where their point of failure is like not even fathomable to some people. It's just everybody's got their own ways.
Right.
Yeah,
like you said, you got to have fun.
Yeah,
it's all about having fun as a kid. Learn it, like falling in love with training. That was more important for me. Falling in love with training more than bodybuilding. I fell in love with training before I knew what bodybuilding was. So even after competing's finished, after competing's done, I'm still going to train and enjoy that. I feel like a lot of people now with Instagram see what bodybuilding is first on Instagram and say, "Wow, that's flashy. That's cool. I'm going to get up there and do that for the photos, for the photo op." I feel like more people fall in love with the glitz and the glamour of being on stage before they fall in love with the training intensity. And I think that's what separates a real bodybuilder from an Instagram bodybuilder, I think.
100%. I think people taking 10 steps forward when they haven't even taken one step forward yet. Don't get wrong. Like we do preach on here, like saying like you definitely should have goals in mind and whatnot. Because if someone told me when I was 18, being like, oh, like there's no point even thinking about competing yet, like don't, I've been like, well, that's what I want to think about, you know. So you still have to obviously promote these things with some people, but I have people that I've seen where the goal is to compete, and like you can't even put them through a fucking set of leg press. You're like, mate, you've not even established any kind of mindset towards what actual training is. You know, it's like at least when I thought, right, I'm going to go for a bodybuilding show, at least I'd trained like efficiently and I trained fucking hard. And like you said, I trained 6 days a week, fucked myself up every single time, and ate as much as I possibly could and all that. At least I had that foundation prior. If you're going into
how can these people expect to do well at a show if they don't like? Preps are fucking hard. That's when training is at its hardest. That is when waking up in the morning and doing your cardio is at its hardest. If you can't fucking do it for fun in the off season, what the fuck hope have you got doing a prep? You have to have those years of fundamentals laid first before you can even think about doing a prep. You know, like you said, if you can't even do a fucking set of leg press now in the off season, what hope have you got fucking surviving a prep? None.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the advices that I give is like do in your off season, do 6 weeks. Do 6 weeks of nothing but training, eating, and sleeping. Just solely bodybuilding. If you can't hack 6 weeks without falling off your diet in an off season, you're going to die on prep. Basically, you're going to die. You know, that's what I've said that to a lot of people, and unfortunately, you're proved right more than you're proved wrong. And like the whole purpose of this podcast is to obviously promote bodybuilding and Scottish bodybuilding as a whole and stuff. But there are people who just need to kind of reassess things and establish their foundation, establish everything prior, like we did before thinking about that kind of stage route. And I think that's a big kind of take-home message that a lot of people aren't receiving. That's the world over. You know, like you're talking about with social media and stuff. Like they see, especially women, fucking hell, they see all these bikini girls and all these shows and on the Olympia and that, and like, you know, my girlfriend follows I forgot her name. Anyway, she follows a big time one, and she's on like 1,200 to 1,600 calories throughout the year, no cheats, cardio every day, training every day. Like that's unfathomable for.
That's my meal one.
I know, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's just like that is the mindset and the discipline that goes into this, and it's hard to, but at the same time, it's hard to convey to someone who's not done it without having doing it. So you know, it is hard to kind of show people prior to actually kind of putting themselves through it. So I mean, how many people have we seen go through their first prep and they've been like, fuck, like I'm not doing that again. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
It's I was just going to say, like, it's the mindset of like where if you're in those later stages of prep, like I love to get myself ready before like my big sets. My head has to be right. I need to see what I'm going to do. I need to visualize it. I need to know the reps. Everything else. You see, once you get to that later stages in prep and your energy is gone, you're dragging your feet about, like your mind's not completely there, to try and get that focus in those sets to still perform is a totally different like level of mental kind of state you need to be in, and not many people can kind of get that. And you can see them training in later stages of prep. They're just like, oh fuck this, I'm just gonna get in and get it done, or I'm gonna have to fucking just potter about this workout and get home. Like their energy is just not reserved for that kind of sets they need to be, and that's where a lot of people will kind of really suffer in prep and they won't get to where they want to be. I feel anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same in my first few preps, even as an example, that I didn't have that mindset yet. I was building it, I was developing it, but towards the end, I started to, whereas now I'll stay as strong as I can for as long as I can, right up to the end. You know, I'll still be trying to squat 5-6 plates right to the weeks out, you know what I mean? Whereas in the past, I would have used, I'm tired, my body wants me to drop the weight, drop the intensity, and just go through the motions, you know, show up on stage looking soft. Not to mention that I was probably, like Andy was saying, cheating my diet because I didn't have that discipline that comes with time doing it too. So 100%. Yeah. But also I don't want to discourage anyone from trying either, because like I said, my journey from the start was bumpy. You know, I cheated my diet. I fell off the horse a few times, but you just keep getting back up, stay consistent. If you truly have a love for it in your heart and you love training, the rest will follow. But it's the people that fall in love with the spotlight first and then try and catch up with their training. You just got to do shit in the right order. That's all I'm trying to say.
I don't think there's any pros or any people who like probably competed like fucking 10 times or whatever that have not fell off their diet at some point, or they've kind of potted about a workout. There's nobody not done that. Nobody's that perfect. Like, don't get me wrong. So everybody's been there, but it's the fact of like learning from those mistakes, or like just saying like that was fucking stupid, I'm not doing that again. Like, this is like the levels you go through in every prep you do, or the more shows you do, you just get better at being that competitor. It's not like nobody's like just born and built to do this. Maybe fucking Ronnie Coleman, but like I don't think anybody's just built perfectly to go through preps and be 100% perfect. Like, they can't do that. Everybody's going to fail.
I think that gets misconstrued a lot. You know, I think that gets misconstrued a lot with like a lot of these motivation pages that are always posting up the Ronnie Colemans and you got to be 100% on your diet, no days off, all that fucking bullshit with the hardcore music and Ronnie doing fucking 7 plates aside, up and down. People think, oh fuck, maybe I just don't have what it takes. It's a process, you know. We got to develop it as time goes on. So I think a lot of people freak out too. Like, I would love to see more people get involved in bodybuilding, but I just want to see people doing it the right way.
Yeah, 100%. So have you seen the Greg? You have the Arnold UK lineup for the pros.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to really look at that. I think 2 rows put up, didn't they?
Yeah. I think everybody shared it anyway.
I know, but it's good to have a wee chat about it. Right. I was going to share my screen.
What's Australia? What was Australia like when you first locked down? How long were the gyms shut and stuff?
It was different sort of everywhere, but in the initial stages, I was in Melbourne, where Tony Doherty has all those Doherty's gyms, because I was doing the Arnold Classic. And right after the Arnold Classic, the next day, we had to get back home to New South Wales, where I'm from, because the borders were locking down and everything was going crazy. So we had to like sort of escape Victoria. It was all seemed a lot more serious than it really sort of ended up being. Like, of course, a lot of people have died and everything like that. But I think in initial, everyone was like, you can get it from sitting on the same bench at a park and shit. So everyone was just fucking freaking out. So it was pretty intense at first, you know. All the gyms were closed down for a good couple of months and worse in some places. But I went home and to my mum and dad's place. We had my old dusty high school bench and brought that home to my place and got a squat rack built and got a piece of cardio equipment. So my garage ended up pretty kitted out by the end of it.
Yeah, I had a client. I had a client in Melbourne, and he was telling me that when they locked down, maybe a second or third time, and I was like, "How many cases?" And he was like, "Fucking 5." And I was like, "You think the piss is about?"
They only just got out of a lockdown. They only just got out of a lockdown fucking this week.
see, there's about 50 cases on my street alone, let alone like 5 in the whole city. Like, I couldn't believe they locked down the whole city just for that many cases.
But what's fucked up is that they're opening other businesses, and there's a lot of like memes going around here in Australia saying, "Fucking, I can go get my ass rimmed at a brothel, but I can't go fucking do a set of bench press." It's like, where's the consistency and everything? You know what I mean? Like, brothels are open, restaurants are open, but the gym, the gym's not. And the gym, and Tony Doherty has said this a lot of times, and he's made media statements that we're in the industry of hygiene. We've been wiping down benches and making sure shit's clean for years. We haven't had to adapt for this COVID. This is just how gyms run. We've done this always, no matter what. It's a little bit more extreme now, obviously, but this is how gyms have always operated, by cleanliness. All these other industries, they're just jumping on board and learning it as they go. So it's really bewildering to us why the gyms are closed when, this is what we do. This is what the industry's always been about, keeping the gym clean and hygienic for everybody. So the fact that the gyms are closed and other businesses are allowed to operate freely is ludicrous.
100%. Don't get Greg started, mate. Don't get Greg started. We'll be here all night.
I'm trying to keep quiet.
So, right. So this is the Arnold UK lineup. So I'm not going to lie, I don't know most of them. This is bad for a bodybuilding podcast, but
the Norwegian one. That's the big arms.
So we've got Kuba, Samson, Christian, Jamie Johal. I don't know who Joe Seaman is.
Yeah, you do. Patrick's client.
Oh, is that Little John?
Yeah.
Ah, right. Okay, I do know who that is. Regan, Ole, yeah. No, it's
Danny.
Danny?
Yeah, fucking Connor's mate, Danny DeVito.
Oh, DeVito, fuck's sake. Is that Roberto?
Yeah.
Banana.
Yeah, banana.
No, it's a good lineup. So like I said to you, Greg, I've got tickets to this, but I'm not sure if you know, Brad, but Greg and I are doing the amateurs early in that day.
I'm following your prep. I was going to ask you how you're going with your,
I didn't want to be too arrogant and be like, oh, you know what we're doing. You know what I mean? But
I think both of you can't have more Instagram followers than I do. You guys are more big time than me.
We've got like I said, I've got tickets to this, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna be fucked. I think, Greg, you've just tapped out already, haven't you? Like, you're not even gonna bother.
Yeah, I know, like, the shows I've done, I just know, like, you see when like the awards are done and you're on such a high leaving the stage, and it's just like, but you've just done like all the bodybuilding thing. I want to just get out, get some fresh air. I just want to kind of be stress free. Like, it's like a weight the world just fell off your shoulders. So I just know how I'll feel, and I know I won't want to sit. As much as that's going to be an amazing show to watch, I just know I won't be totally there. I want to like kind of just go and do something, like go get food, just chill out, relax, just something else. I'm not going to bother by text because I know I just won't go.
Yeah, enjoy the bright lights of Birmingham.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, it's going to be a good one though. So, do you know what's been happening to Nathan Diasha in this? There's a huge thing kicking off with him.
He was wanting to be invited to the real Arnold Classic.
Oh, so it's to do with the USA one, not the UK one.
Yeah, he was wanting to the real Arnold, Ohio, I think, which is like around Olympia.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's in September. It's on the 25th. I think that's my birthday. That's
I think he's doing Portugal. He's doing Portugal.
So what's kicked off with that? Why is he raging about that?
I'm like, I don't think he's bothered. I'm not sure if he's bothered about this. I think he was wanting to be invited to the real Arnold Classic, but he's going to do Portugal, and I think he had another show in mind. But he's away out to Oxygen this week. So
all right, okay, fair enough.
I don't know if he was actually bothered about the UK one. I think it was the real Arnold Classic he was wanting invited to.
the real one.
Only the real Arnold Classic.
And then Classic Physique. Who's that? Jack Connor. Oh, Ryan. Oh, cool. I didn't know Ryan was doing it.
Yeah.
Shane Cullen. That's class.
Be good. I've actually seen a photo of all their stage pics together. It was actually quite cool. They're all good physiques.
Yeah, I bumped into Ryan in Dubai back in January. That was He's a nice guy in that as well.
He's
Cool.
such, like, proportions are awesome. When you see them,
Yeah,
like,
I always had the impression that Ryan was like 6'2". You know how you get suckered sometime into like bodybuilding, like you think, oh, like, he must be like 7 foot tall,
sure.
and you meet him and you're looking down at him like, he's short, like, but he's like you said, he's got phenomenal physique. So
no, waist, like big arms, big chest, it's proper classic look. So yeah.
And men's physique, we'll just click off there.
What's that? Do you know any of those guys?
Oh, Ryan Terry was on it, so we Ryan Terry.
I thought he'd kick fucking back then.
Don't know.
I thought he'd stop. I thought he'd take a retirement.
Fuck knows, he probably makes so much money from whatever he does. Like, I would fucking don't need to compete.
Yeah, there's no need to fucking compete when you're Ryan Terry.
So, Greg, what's happening prep wise?
Still nothing's changed.
Miserable yet?
Still getting better. Nah, do you know what? Today was probably the first day I felt a bit draggy for some reason. I just I got up this morning. I was literally just wanting to drag my feet a little bit. I was like, fuck's sake, it's legs. I really don't want this feeling today. But even that, I felt like tired coming towards about 3/4 of the end of the session. I was like, fucking, I'm tired just like doing legs day. Just by the time I left, I was fucked. I just wanted to go home and like sleep.
How many fucking bands did you have in that leg press?
5. Had a green wrapped around the seat, a green either side and a yellow either side, and 420 plates.
I couldn't even count them.
Do you know what the hardest thing about that set is? Getting it off the fucking stocks. Literally, you almost like pop a hernia trying to get off stocks because it's like 3/4 way. You just got to give a little oomph, and it's like you're not ready to push, and it's just like it totally throws you in the seat, and it's just got brace. Yeah.
Brad, do you do any kind of banded stuff?
I haven't done a whole lot of banded work for a while, to be honest. Except for maybe reverse banding on the hack to change that strength curve, just to load up the quads a bit more at the top part of the movement. But apart from that, I don't really use a whole lot of bands at the minute. No,
I've not done any. I've never done anything banded. I don't know. I think we were spoken in videos that Greg and I have done. I've kind of always been like, like that looks daft. Like that looks like someone trying to reinvent the wheel. And Greg showed me. I don't know if you watched our back episode that we done a few months ago, but like obviously Greg showed me kind of this pull down movement. And I used to see quite a lot of British guys on Instagram doing this. Like, fuck off. That's just like, you know what I mean? They're just trying to reinvent the wheel, trying to like, you know, change things that don't need change. And I did it. I was actually like, oh fuck, actually this is actually quite good. And I know exactly that's going to happen with the bands, but the fact that I walk about saying that bands are a lot of shite most of the time, and then if someone sees me with a pair of bands and a leg press, I'm just going to get slaughtered. So I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. There's a couple of young fellas at the gym, and you just see like, like we talked about before, you haven't even finished your years of figuring out how to train properly, and you're fucking putting bands on everything. So I'm the same. I feel like now I've chastised the band so much, calling everyone else a fuckwit who uses them. But if I fucking use them now, I'll just look like an idiot.
Yeah. I look like.
So I just got to stay away from them now. There's probably so many unlocked gains in there that I could get, but I've talked too much shit now, so I can't get it.
I would have never done bands, except like I knew the one about the hack for like, that's just really for saving my knees. Like it kills my knees at the bottom now, so I'll reverse band it just to save a little bit of my knees at the bottom, so I can still load up quite heavy. But I would have never done the bands if like JP didn't say do this. And the first session, it took us fucking ages to set them up because we just didn't know what we're doing. It took a little bit to get used to, but it was just daunting to look at some of the stuff we were doing. Like, is this fucking set up right? You see, when you do it, it's just a totally different feeling. And like, I would definitely say it is better. Like to go through the strength curve of like getting harder and harder and harder as you press. Yes, it is great. But like when you do stuff like the banded leg extensions, like that's hard at the top point of peak. Like the strain it has on like the top of your quads is just like nothing you've ever felt, because it's like a 2-second hold, and you're really fighting for this thing not to come back down. So you're literally still driving up and up and up, harder and harder. and it's just such a different feeling through other stuff I've done. But I would definitely recommend it to give it a try. It does take a little bit getting used to and set up, but like the bracing and stuff, or like the leg press, like the control you've got to have on that thing coming down, because it will just literally crush you the amount it's pulling you down. So the control you've got to have through the whole part of the process is mental, but again, so beneficial to actually how you can perform the exercise.
I find that banding as well will force you to, even if for nothing else, teach you to control your negative. Whereas a lot of people drop the weight and then try and bounce it back up. With a band, that cunt is going to fucking stay down if you don't control it on the way down and then press on the way up. You know what I mean? Because it's pulling down towards you. So I find that with like banded leg press and like you're talking about, 100%, that teaches you to control your negative and feel the movement a lot better too. So, you know, it could be a tool used for inexperienced guys too, just to let them feel what it's fucking supposed to feel like.
Like now I'm actually trying to go through the process of how slow I can make my negative. Like obviously the first weeks I've done it, it was like, yeah, I've got to control this, or this is a way to crush my chest and I'm not coming back up. But now I'm actually like, how slow can I make my negative into the transition of a positive? It's like, it's you really need to experience it, but the pressure it puts, like obviously straight on your quads, is just amazing. And like if you can control that slower and slower and slower, then it's just even better. But I would definitely say people give it a try. If you've, like, I couldn't have got any more weight on that leg press, so like the banding is something I have to go up to now. So it is beneficial for what I need to do. But give it a try.
I'm still not sold yet, mate. They'll have to put me through a leg session, and that's what we'll do. Because mind hopefully get up to warehouse to film another session. So you can bam me up, mate. So Brad, what obviously I'm only asking this question because I'm fucking starving. But what's kind of your go-to cheat, and what kind of shite do you like to eat?
I'm big on burgers, man. I love getting a big burger, and I like baked goods too, like brownies and muffins and shit. So I don't know, I got a pretty big sweet tooth. I like a lot of sweet stuff, waffles and ice cream and all that good stuff. But as far as a proper meal, it would I always choose burgers. But in the last few years, sushi as well. I'm big on sushi. And I feel like super clean by comparison to other foods. You know, I feel like it's something that I can use as a refeed in prep if I want to, and it allows me to fit macros a little easier, because at the end of the day it's just rice and meat, so it's easier to track than fucking trying to fit a burger into your plan. So sushi's a good one too, and it tastes awesome.
I've got to that point. I've got to that point now, Greg, where I'm like, so Patrick has me second last meals like chicken and potatoes with a salad. So with a salad, like I put on like apple cider vinegar, sauerkraut, and what I've started doing is, mate, see sauerkraut when you're fucking starving. It's like separating the two. So I'm having the chicken and potatoes, and I'm having the salad by itself. And mate, like, fuck, I'd see it 9 weeks out. I never would have thought that a salad would make me cream in my pants. Like honestly, like it was the best thing on the planet.
I've fucking been there. I've been there, bro. Mate, definitely.
Fucking...
Salad in prep as its own meal.
I'm still at the point I'm not bothered about food.
You don't care about food?
I'm still at the point I'm eating so much food. I'm like, I could actually like have to take one of my last meals to bed. I'm actually like still not hungry.
Fucking hell, mate.
I actually calculated it, because obviously I don't know what my food is, but I went and put it into my app the other day, and I'm still eating 5,500 calories.
Fair enough. So Patrick's lowered my food again. So he sent me like the last time he sent me an adjustment to my low day. I was quite excited because you know you get to that kind of sadistic point where you're like, oh, I can't fucking wait to starve I feel the body fat coming off. But he sent me today, mate, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Reagan eats more than me now on my low days. Fucking hell! Like it's like the first meal is like 50 grams cream of rice. Mate, that's nothing.
Okay, no.
That's fucking piss nothing. Oh man, but he wants me ready in 3 weeks' time. So we've got 3 weeks to get peeled. So fuck it.
But I'm still eating loads of food. It's not bothering me yet.
No, it's still bragging, mate. Still bragging. I think that's kind of, yeah, coming to an hour now. So, no, once again, Brad, we appreciate. We like to keep this to about an hour because we don't want to kind of let it drag on too much.
Of course.
But
I gotta start getting ready for work anyway.
I was waiting to say, mate, you need to go. I'm waiting to go to bed. No, again, mate, we obviously with the time difference and stuff, we thoroughly kind of
really
appreciate you coming on. And obviously we
are. It's a pleasure, man. I had fun.
Yeah. I'll leave this though. What kind of things have you done to kind of get in touch with like, your Scottish roots? Have you done anything apart from speaking to your granddad and that?
No, not really. I haven't been in contact with anyone over there. I feel like a lot of my family did move here. Like I think even my grandfather's sister, so my great aunt, okay. she's over here as well. There's a bunch of them moved, and then my grandfather's father, so my great grandfather, he only passed a few years back too, so he's not over there anymore. So I'm not really sure who my living relatives are over there. Yeah. So my mother's maiden name is Kerr. So if there's anyone out there in the Kerr clan, get at me and get in contact because that's it. I'm from the Kerr clan. We got our own tartan and everything. So if you're a Kerr, get at me. Let's talk and get me over there and have a visit, and then I'll come train with you fellas.
I'm a player cars. No, I was going to say, Greg, what do you think we should advise that Brad watches to kind of, other than Braveheart, none of that shite? Like,
I would say Highlander, but it's a bit.
They can be
romantic, is it not?
I already know that shit.
No, the Highlander's a fucking amazing film. I think it's actually on Netflix.
The Highlander. I thought you were talking about Highlander, the fucking TV series. Like, mate,
no, Highlander film.
I recommend, mate. I'll send you a link for it. You watched there's a sitcom called Still Game. I fucking mate, I have it on the background like most of the time. Like while I'm doing work, I have my TV on, but Still Game. I'll send you a link to that, mate. If you ever want to kind of watch that, it's class. That's very
definitely.
Very Glaswegian.
I'd love to know more about the Scottish for sure. I want to get in touch with my Scottish heritage. So send me anything you got, mate. I want to learn all about it. It'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, I think you need to dive into that. But no, thanks once again, mate. And we'll leave it there for another episode. So everyone who's watching, we appreciate obviously the time watching us talk shite. So cheers again, guys, and until next week.
Thank you.
Perfect.
See you later.